Alright, welcome back Chessbox Worldwide. Get ready for a chess clash of the East African Titans. A game played between Kenya's #1 and Uganda's #1 during the African Individual Chess Championships in Bujumbura, Burundi. From the Pearl of Africa, Uganda's undisputed chess queen, the brilliant woman FIDE master Sana Omprakash Kayyar steps onto the battlefield. You know her, you love her strategic prowess. She's Uganda's #1. And in the other corner, bringing the heat from the land of the majestic wildlife, it's Kenya's phenomenal chess champion, the tactical mastermind Sasha Mongeli. She's Kenya's reigning queen of the 64 squares. This is a full-blown chess derby. It's Uganda vs Kenya, a battle of the East African chess supremacy. Who will take home the bragging rights? Will Sana's Ugandan still hold firm, or will Sasha's Kenyan courage conquer the board? Get ready for the fireworks. Sana Omprakash Kayyar is a chess prodigy from Uganda, a nation that she represents with fierce determination on the global stage. At just 16 years old, she has already earned the prestigious Woman FIDE Master title and stands as the top-ranked female player in Uganda. She's a force to be reckoned with, known for her sharp strategic mind and unwavering composure under pressure. She has battled against the world's best, securing a silver medal at the African Youth Chess Championships and consistently proving that she is not just a competitor, but a true champion in the making. Sana's journey from a young hopeful to Uganda's chess queen is a testament to her relentless dedication and undeniable talent. While Sasha Mongeli is a woman FIDE master, WFM, from Kenya, she is the top-ranked female player in Kenya and has represented her country in the Chess Olympiad. In her debut at the 2018 Olympiad in Batumi, she won 7 out of her 8 games, a performance that earned her the Woman FIDE Master title, was the highest percentage score by any Kenyan in the Olympiad history. She is a 2-time Kenyan national chess champion. Ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into this epic encounter. In the white pieces, Sasha Mongeli opened the game with d4 and Sana Omprakash played knight f6. c4, g6 bring us the king's Indian defense. Knight comes to f3, bishop comes to g7, knight c3, played d5, queen comes to b3 is the top engine recommended move, but Sasha played bishop comes to g5, c6 strengthening the pawn in the center, e3 short castling from black, bishop e2, plan to go ahead for short castling, knight beat d7, and after short castling, there are 2 moves which are recommended by the engine, knight coming to e4, hitting on the bishop with on g5, and also pawn takes c4. But however, she played d takes c4, and bishop takes c4, knight b6, hitting on the bishop immediately, and bishop falling back, knight b d5, trying to make everything simple in the center. Now, in this position, Sasha also went on to take the knight. Knight takes d5, pawn e4, and h3 are the moves recommended by the engine. But however, Sasha went on and played h3, stopping any bishop intrusions. But in case of pawn e4, we could have seen h6, hitting on the bishop. Bishop falls back on d2. Knight comes to f6, hitting on the pawn which is on e4. Queen c2, defending the pawn and connecting the 2 rooks. But after knight takes d5, she played h3, and now we see h6, hitting on the bishop. Bishop comes to h4, and now Sana wanted to switch her play on the queen side. She played f5, bishop comes to g3, we see f4, emphasizing the queen side play. Queen c2, trying to connect the rooks. Now we see bishop comes to e6, and after bishop e5, requesting for an exchange of bishops, knight b4, hitting on the queen and trying to delay the exchange. So in this position, queen coming to b1 should have been considered, but she played queen c5, and now Sana went on to play d5. But however, there was another interesting, strong approach. Knight takes a2 should have been played, followed by e4, trying to go ahead and play pawn comes to d5, blocking the bishop so the knight which is on a2 can be taken. Queen a5, requesting for an exchange. Queen takes e7, and after queen b6, putting an eye on the pawn which is on b2. Now we see d5, and now we could just go ahead and take the pawn, and in case of rook taking the knight on a2, d takes e4, this could give black a decisive advantage. But after queen c5, she played knight d5, rook comes to d1, f3, and now if you go ahead and play pawn takes a3, This is very good for black because now she can begin pressing on the pawn which is on a2, which becomes a weakness. That's why in this position Sasha went on and played b3, solidifying the position. And then now we see queen a5, rook comes to c1, queen takes c5, rook takes c5, f6, hitting on the bishop, bishop falls back on g3, bishop f7, because now she's trying to go ahead and expand again, playing e5, bishop c4, pinning the knight, rook comes to c8, bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, and now knight d2, planning to go ahead and also advance the pawns in the center because all is necessary to be played. Bishop f8, push e5, and now be opening up for the bishop to hit on the rook, rook c2, bishop f7, and now knight comes to e4, planning to put the knight on c5, hitting on the pawn which is on b7, g5, knight comes to c5, rook f5, defending the pawn on b7, rook comes to c1. It's high time to bring back the bishop on g7, but however she played f5, trying to go ahead and emphasize the domination of the queenside. Bishop e5, bishop comes to d5, f3, trying to stop any further advancements of the pawns, b6, hitting on the knight, e4, counter-attacking the bishop. Pawn takes e4 should have been considered, but however she played bishop f7, and Sasha went on to play knight f4, keeping an eye on the pawn which is on f5 and also attacking the pawn which is on d6. In case of pawn coming to b5, then knight c5 is going to be played instantly and knight would have gotten a permanent place to be. F takes e4 should have been considered. She played rook b7, defending the pawn on b6. However, in case of f takes e5, would have seen f takes e5, bishop g7, knight takes b6, rook d8, knight f4, bishop takes e5, d takes e5, rook comes to d7, and after knight comes to c5, rook d2, requesting for an exchange. And remember also the pawn on a2 if is also under threat, under pressure, king f1, and after bishop h5, at least this would give black a slight advantage. But however, after knight f4, she played rook b7, defending the pawn on b6, rook takes c6, rook takes c6, and after rook takes c6, f e4, bishop e8 should have been considered. For example, in case of bishop e8, hitting on the rook and the knight, in case of rook takes b6, rook takes b6, and after knight takes b6, bishop g6, this at least would be a playable position for black. She played bishop g7, and now we see bishop takes g7, king takes g7, king f2. Black had an opportunity to turn the tables. Rook a7 should have been considered. For example, in case of rook a7, the only move for white to survive is playing rook comes to c1. But in case she tries winning the pawn which is on b6, in case she tries rook takes b6, black has a very powerful move. Black would have played bishop takes b3. And there are two ways on how the bishop can be taken. In case of pawn takes, then the pawn will be moving in to get a queen. And in case of rook takes, then the rook wins the knight, which is on f4. After king f2, she played rook b8, maintaining the defense on the pawn which is on b6. King comes in, knight c5, bishop comes into g6, rook c7, attacking the pawn which is on e7, rook e8, defending, rook comes into b7, attacking the pawn on b5, king takes, king g8. So after rook takes b5, she played rook f8, trying to bring in the rook into action, rook f5, attacking the pawn which is on f3, rook f1, rook takes f3, rook e1 check, king f2, rook comes to c1, rook goes to e8 check, king f7, rook s7, king goes to e8, bring the king, knight d3 attacking the rook, rook c2 check, and after king e3, bishop comes to h5, g4, trying to close up the bishop, bishop f7, d5, pushing the pass pawns, king f8, b4, and bishop comes to e8, putting an eye on the b5 square, rook a8, pinning the bishop, rook h2, knight goes out to defend the pawn, rook g2, b5, rook g3 check, king goes to e8, e2, rook c3, and king comes to d2, rook c5, attacking the pawn, pawn f4 defending, and rook comes to c4, and in this position after knight d3, Sana went on and played rook takes e4, which was an inaccuracy, and after b6, Sana went on to resign the game because it was a lot she had experienced in the game, and Sasha went on to win the game. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your games.